So now let's talk about the blue hat. The blue hat is the overview hat. You can associate the blue color with the sky above or like being cool and in control. The blue hat is for management and organization. It is concerned with something called metacognition. So with the blue hat, I might say, we've heard your criticism of this plan now. What I'd like you to do is to put your yellow hat firmly in place and tell me what you see now. So who is wearing the blue hat? As with all the other hats, anyone in a discussion may wear the blue hat and make a statement. However, it does make sense to have one person who's the facilitator who wears the blue hat and sort of can design the steps the different hats we're taking and can also be responsible for sort of steering the discussions if someone's wearing off, overusing a hat, and then at the end also summarize what has happened and sort of just package the whole thing in. So now let's talk about the main benefits of using the blue hat. Typical discussions involve an adversarial back and forth between facts, opinions, criticism, and new creative ideas. Now, while these discussions do generate results, the question is, how much are we leaving on the table? How much better, how much more clarity could we have if we used a more structured approach? This is the whole premise of the 6 thinking hats, and the blue hat is in charge of organizing how and when to use the different hats. The blue hat allows us to do 4 major things. 1, focus discussion on specific topics. 2, outline which hats we're going to use in which order. 3, results. It's all about generating and monitoring results. And finally, 4, M for monitoring, where we try to keep track in the discussion of what is going on. So it's an acronym: form, focus, outline, results, and monitor. Let's look at how we could design a sequence of hats with a concrete example to see how this comes into play. So we'll use the example of a political party who wants to win an election. So first, wearing the blue hat, we might ask questions such as, what is the problem we want to solve? What are the relevant points to consider? Who should be in those discussions? And in which order should we use the hats? More concretely, this could be, how do we get 30,000 votes? What influences voter turnout? Who knows about this? And now, in which sequence should we use the hats to solve this problem? If there is a contentious topic, like somebody being angry or scared or jealous, we might call in for the red hat so that these emotions can come to the surface. I feel like this new open seat has created a lot of emotions. Let's put on our red hat for a moment to clear the air first. Without this, people might express their feelings otherwise, such as with excessive black hat thinking. Then we might put on the white hat. We're going to say, what are the facts of the situation? What else do we need to know? And our example would be, we need to win 20% of the votes to win 5 seats. The voter turnout has been 41% and 43% in the last 2 elections. We currently have a budget of $200,000. We don't really know what the voters care about this election year. These are all facts that we may lay out. And the white hat is very important for the beginning of a discussion. After some of these important facts have been established, it may make sense to wear the blue hat to organize our thinking. So for example, I might say, wearing the blue hat, I see that there are several areas which require further attention. For example, fundraising in itself is a huge topic. We can't possibly deal with all the problems today, so let's organize groups that are going to look at these problems individually and focus our discussion today on the highest urgency problem. So then if we're in the fundraising meeting, we might put on our yellow hats and say, let's find solutions on how we can increase our fundraising efforts. Somebody might bring solutions such as, let's do an online fundraising campaign on emotional topics, or let's identify the wealthy members of our party and approach them individually, or let's send out letters to all of our party members and ask them for donations. Then it may make sense to wear a black hat and sort of challenge these solutions. Somebody may wear the black hat and say, we've tried all these solutions before, they haven't really resulted in a lot of new funds, so I think we need better solutions. Or somebody might say, it's a great idea with the wealthy donors, but we don't have an easy way to identify who's wealthy, so I don't think that that's going to work. We then might use the green hat to look at some of the solutions the black hat has critiqued and see if we can find a way around them. For example, using the green hat, somebody could say, All of the ideas currently have some limitations, but I do like the idea of approaching individual wealthy donors. Let's green hat that idea. Someone else might say, I'll provoke us by saying wealthy individual donors bicycles. And then the discussion might start and somebody might come up with an idea such as, what if we auctioned off bicycles by our most popular officials and see if that can generate some fundraising for us? Then we could use the black and the yellow hat again to further assess the idea. With the yellow hat, you may ask, what are all the benefits of selling bicycles? With the black hat, you may say, what could go wrong if we try this? Then, wearing the blue hat, you go into the meta mode again. So let me summarize what we've learned today. Our campaign desperately needs more money, and the methods we've tried so far haven't been very successful. We generated some new ideas, including the one where we would auction off bicycles from our most popular elected officials. This idea is relatively low risk, could raise money for our campaign, and maybe even generate some positive buzz in the media. Then you might use the red hat one last time. Let's hear everyone's opinion to see whether they're satisfied with today's discussions and whether they endorse that idea. There's a couple more interesting sequences I found in other areas on the internet, and I'll be linking them in the description below. So let's summarize what we've learned with the blue hat. The blue hat is the director's hat, and it's absolutely critical in getting the most out of the other hats. Remember the acronym FORM, or the blue form, for the 4 things you can do with the blue hat. First, F stands for focus the discussion. O stands for outline or design the discussion, and in which sequence you can use the hats. The R stands for results. Make sure to summarize what you're learning and keep the discussions on track to generate results. And finally, the M stands for monitor. When somebody goes off track or off script, you can use the blue hat to bring the discussion back to the relevant topics. This was it for the 6 thinking hats. Now, I encourage you to go out and train with your method, maybe try out the individual hats first, red hat, white hat, and so forth. You can use it to organize your own thinking, or definitely you can use it when you're with other groups. If you've liked this, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I'll be making more interesting videos around better decision making, mental models, and so forth.